Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. This is a special Sunday edition. Sunday. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy...
Guy Buttersnaps, a.k.a. the Heater.
I've heard it both ways.
I'm not doing this with you right now. How exciting is that, by the way?
I know, and how perfect is that for our show? Like, there's probably no... I suspect there's no other wrestling podcast that suits more than this show.
Yeah, so Psych is filming a movie, and Charlotte Flair is going to be a part of it. And I saw something with James Roday and Charlotte, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
This is amazing.
This is amazing, yeah. So,
I hope she gets to beat them up. I think that would make it really fun.
So of all the wrestlers that have been in Psych, is The Miz, the Bella Twins, John Cena. Was there anyone else? I feel like there could have been, because they did a lot.
And Cena was the ultimate heel on that show too.
He was playing the it was a little swerve. He was playing the heel, but it turned out he had good intentions the whole time.
Oh,
if I remember correctly.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought he was like playing the babyface, and turns out he was.
I think it was one of those things where
maybe I fell asleep in that episode.
Sean was trying to convince Juliet that her brother was doing wrong things, and he really wasn't in the end. I think.
Oh, I thought he really was in the end.
Maybe. I got to rewatch.
Okay, we're gonna have to. We should have GnWC Weekly Psych review, and we just watch an episode, and that'll be the one we start with, just right in the middle of everything.
Man, this one movie reminds me of other times, like TV shows I like to have done like a one-off TV movie after it's ended. Man, I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to be like, oh, God damn it, I want more.
Hey, we'll just have to go back and watch the whole thing, though.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
Why not, indeed.
So, you want to talk about wrestling?
I don't really want to. I might have to review the match listings to see if I even liked anything. How about that?
It wasn't a bad week. It wasn't a good week. It was a week.
We can start with Extreme Rules, though.
Can I say something about Extreme Rules, because I may be the only person to say it? I liked it. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I don't know what people really expected of it. Extreme Rules is not that extreme. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I thought it was more than what I expected. So, but I don't know. Maybe I set my expectations low enough that it didn't bother me as much as it seemed to bother other people. But anyway,
I didn't really listen to a consensus of what people thought, and it was one of those things where it's very, very odd. It's been very quiet around the Angry Larry Twitch chat. Normally when there's a live event special, there's at least 5 or 6 people that pop in and ask my opinion on it and share theirs and stuff like that. I really feel like this one drew 0 attention, and that includes negative as well.
You could be right.
I'm just saying I didn't read anything online. I'm just going based on the people that normally talk to me about stuff. And in reviewing, because I even forgot Extreme Rules was this Sunday. I thought my layout had a mistake on it. And I'm like, no, Extreme Rules wasn't last Sunday, was it? And I had to think, and I looked at the Raw match listings, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess it was. I really like Cesaro and Sheamus winning.
Yep.
The cage match. I thought it was great. I thought it was even better that we made reference to the fact that both people have to escape the cage. And the first one to do it is normally at the disadvantage, because then it's 2-on-1.
And how fitting is that to possibly lead into a broken angle? Maybe it doesn't. But did we see the Hardy Boys this week after that?
Well, Matt had a kid.
I know, but we didn't. But we
so
we
really
didn't see him on TV, right? I'm just saying, from a character standpoint, you had the idea that they had the match won, and Matt had kind of held his ground and been the hero in the ring by himself, and then they lost because they lost because Jeff, while trying to be, you know, the guy doing the daredevil spot monkey stuff that he does, while he tries to do that, they lose because he comes back into the match. There's a case to be made in a broken world that that's what happened in that match.
I think there's also a case to be made that they're not going to touch that broken gimmick with a 10-foot pole right now.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm just saying that could lead to it, and whether it does right now, whether they shotgun right into it, or it's just a story that keeps playing out like that. I feel like it's easily a seed planted for that to start. And have we heard anything about the broken gimmick for a couple of weeks now, as far as from a legal standpoint?
I mean, last week there was stuff about
it.
Oh,
was
still.
there? Yeah.
I think Matt Hardy was denied trademark.
Oh.
Trademark things. I can't say for sure, but he was denied something based around the Broken Universe, and now something's coming out now where he's submitting documents that he funded everything he did at his own house for Impact Wrestling during that time and whatever.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of stuff there, and I think there's just money to be made in the Hardy Boys being the Hardy Boys.
I know there is. I'm just saying there is a seed planted. Like it works to the same story that Matt was being the hero and he got destroyed, or they ultimately lost because Jeff, reinserted himself into the picture essentially. So I don't know. I thought the match was really good. Period. Without those implications, I thought they did a really good job.
I like heel Sheamus, heel Cesaro more than I like. If you look at Cesaro in the height of his popularity, he was the bad guy who then transitioned to a good guy and then just retained a loyal fan base after that. But it was in his heel infancy, I should say, with the just before with Tyson Kidd and all that. Like, I thought he was huge over. Then he did the things with John Cena in the U.S. Open Challenge, and I think that kind of transitioned him to like the semi-face when you need him kind of guy, and then like full out face after that with the Cesaro section and then playing that up. I never bought into Cesaro as a face just because he just seemed like Sami Zayn. He just seems like a guy out there who has some sort of support. But with his nationality and him being the heel and pairing with Sheamus, even before, like when he was just, even when he was with Oksana, and he can say hello in 5 different languages, there was always that "I'm European, I'm better than you" kind of arrogance to him. Sure. And I really, it's wrestling is good when you have a character who's very on the nose, stereotypical. You know what I mean? In such a unpolitically correct way. But you can get behind or root against people based on that, And I think that worked back then, and I think it works now. And I think this tag team is working for them, like getting them refreshed, so to speak.
It's definitely helping Cesaro, but as we've said before, I still think Sheamus is the one that's really getting over in the long run.
Sheamus needs it because for too long people have just dumped on him, and I don't think that was fair.
Yeah, for
them to dump on him because he was just being used in the company in many ways. And listen, heaven forbid a wrestling fan is not hypocritical. They want change, they want this, they want that, and then Sheamus is the champion, and they're like, this is the worst champion ever. Well, I mean,
that seems familiar.
Pick one.
Yeah.
So that I was really happy that the Miz won the title. Though.
Yep.
And I thought that was actually pretty cool the way they did it.
Yeah.
I
love the slap me spot, and then it didn't work. I love that.
I thought for sure that we were going to see Maurice do something to the Miz, and then kiss Ambrose.
Oh, no way.
And then listen, it's WWE. You don't say no way.
Yeah, but I don't think people. I don't think they try to actively destroy relationships like they used to, because they're still pretty carny, but I don't think they're that carny anymore.
Well, I mean, you've had relationships in the past that were real, just behind the scenes, that were not real on TV, and Elizabeth and all that stuff going on. But anyway, I really thought they were gonna do it because it's acting. So I mean, actresses and actors do it all the time on TV and stuff like
Sure.
that. So I don't think just because it's wrestling, I don't think it's any different. It's entertainment. It's Vince wants it, he'll get it. But we didn't get it. But I really thought that that's how it was going to end, and it was leading up to it. And I'm like, wow, are they really going to do? And they didn't do it. But still, I liked how they had that fake not working, getting thrown out, distracted kind of spot. That was pretty cool. So I was happy about that.
I like that they did the obvious thing to do. Like that's the intelligent heel thing to do, is just like, wait a second, just slap me. That totally makes sense. But then it didn't work for him because the ref was the ref outsmarted the heel, which, I mean, it's John Cone. That never happens. John Cone's always the biggest idiot in the ring, apparently. But anyway.
I always liked the fact that when I was younger, I used to always yell at the TV. It's like, if it's a disqualification, because they've I don't know what they did, like, first time ever since then there's been one of these type of matches, or only one time a title has changed in this way, whatever they said. But I kind of remember these matches back in the day as well, and I was always be like, well, why don't they just get themselves disqualified?
Well, it's like the tornado tag matches, where why don't they just pin their own partner type thing?
I feel like I've seen that a lot in 2017.
People have tried it, but like it's never actually worked. Like I want to see the time where it actually works, where the ref's just like, well, I mean, this team lost, but this team won, so I guess they win.
I feel like I've seen that, but I'll
maybe
try to remember what that was, and I'll try to remember what that was, and let you know about it, and let everyone know about it whenever it pops into my mind. You're not surprised about Samoa Joe winning. I feel like he was the one you said was going to win.
I was thinking it was he or Balor, and then we kind of talked ourselves into Balor by the end of the show. But yeah, I was
because of the entrance.
Yeah, because of the entrance. But I was really feeling one of them, especially because what they did with Heyman. I just thought, WWE is really bad at being subtle a lot of times. So I thought the Heyman thing with Finn Balor was a good setup for how they normally do things. But then I liked how Heyman twisted it on Raw, where he said Balor was the best case scenario. So essentially, he said he built him up because it would be a great looking marquee, but Brock would eat him. It's sort of like the idea of, from a business standpoint, it made sense to have this David versus Goliath type matchup. And there was a lot of money to be made, but in the end, Brock was going to be victorious. Well, then you have Joe, and he just doesn't care, So that was really, really unbelievably well done. The follow-up to that was great, in my opinion.
And if you remember, after WrestleMania when Brock won, I think... No, that was the Kevin Owens thing. All right, I was going to say, I think Paul Heyman praised Brock, Samoa Joe, but that was Kevin Owens. I think he was praising before WrestleMania, maybe before a Fastlane.
Yeah, before.
If I remember right,
before Goldberg.
Yeah, before Goldberg. Well, that's right, Goldberg. For some reason, I had in my mind that Lesnar won the title from Kevin. I mean, like, can you blame me? The title's never even on TV.
Sure.
So I've already
and. Since it left Kevin Owens, and in the time, there was one pay-per-view between when, like, Goldberg won it and then he lost it. He didn't defend it.
Yeah.
He just won it and then he lost it. So
kind of like The Rock when he beat Punk and then lost it to Cena, kind of thing. But I don't know, Samoa Joe, it's kind of cool, kind of win. I actually would have put all my money on Finn Balor when he did not come out with the face paint. Because then I'm like, all right, well, what's more intimidating, doing it now?
Yeah.
Or doing it against the guy you're supposed to be intimidated in wrestling at a pay-per-view? That's called Great Balls of Fire. So I'm like, maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have it on now. so people don't think like, oh, now it's obvious he's going to win. And then he has it on in the legitimate way when he's fighting like the big money match, the big prize fight, the marquee match. And I guess we can get there eventually. But
I don't know if it's some sort of bitterness or not. That's not really the right word. I don't know what it is, but I almost feel like someone is either in Vince's ear, or maybe Vince is just like, man, why did we do that? That they did the demon so soon. That they did the demon immediately. With the Demon King and Seth Rollins. Is he saying Kane? Is he saying King? Who knows? He's Midwestern, but it almost feels like at this point, because they're not like they barely talk about it. They, and everything's Balor Club, sort of James Dean and everything. It seems like they are trying to bury that memory for a little bit, even though, everywhere they take pictures of him, there's kids dressed up in paint and stuff like that. As far as seeing him in the paint, they seem to be very, very deliberate about keeping that off of him, which I think is a good idea, and is probably how it should have been done from the get-go. But so that when he finally got to a point where it's like, all right, he's the guy, but there's this one guy he can't overcome. But wait, the Demon King could overcome him. So anyway, yeah.
And then they just make that Demon King thing up as soon as he got to the main roster too. Like that wasn't even a part of it when he was.
Yeah,
in
there
NXT.
wasn't the Demon King. It was just the demon persona, and it's but now it can be that again if they just keep playing on, if they just keep staying away from it for a while, which seems intentional that they're doing that. So
Mickey James was the roller derby girl when Jules was undercover with the
that's
roller derby.
right.
Stacy Keibler was in an episode, and the Big Show was in an episode.
Oh, the Big
as
Show
well.
episode was actually really good. Wait, was Khali in an episode? I almost think he might have been.
I'm looking at a list of
okay.
wrestlers appearing in chronological order, and it's only the 7
Gotcha.
of them. The 4 we mentioned before, and the 3
But
I
Show was
mentioned
really
just now.
good. Like that was actually a really cool episode. I liked it.
It was a lot better than what he did on Raw. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. I didn't hate it.
The way I hated it was in its awkwardness.
Sure.
In that in that HBK kind of way when he comes back and does like a special guest spot where it's just like, I'm gonna do over the top comedy act, but like in a mocking, not doing comedy way. Like it was just weird. Like I don't know. I didn't like for my comedy spot of the week. I was just like, I didn't like it.
I know I kind of moved us to Raw already, but something that I was seeing a significant negative reaction to was the women's match at Extreme Rules. But what did you expect going into that match? It's an on a pole match.
You know what? I fell asleep and I had no regrets.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that bad. It was just what it was. And I don't know what people wanted from that match. And people were, judging Alexa's work in that match.
Well,
it's what they want? Stick on a pole match. It's like,
based on NXT, they want Bayley to be the most over wrestler there is. And guess what the reality is? It's the main roster. It's entertainment, not wrestling. You're going to have her. She's going to be the underdog. She's going to be the one hesitant to do and cheat and stuff like that. The picture-perfect role model. And people don't want that. People want... And we're talking about people on the internet, obviously, because that's where you're getting all your the feedback from.
Sure.
People in that environment want Bayley to be the number 1 ranked wrestler, have the title, because she's the best. Look what she did in NXT. And main roster does not work like that. Main roster is entertainment.
Well, but again, I just don't get, and that you're right. That's a major part of people are like, that's the other thing. They've just ruined Bayley's character. It's just like, how? She's probably more of her character than she ever was at this point. It's just, it's like you said, it's not 15, 20, 30-minute wrestling matches all the time. It's little small gimmick matches here and there as you build toward a larger story at some point. But guess what? She's also not the champ, and she was moving out of contention for the championship. It can't be the same person all the time. There aren't, well, I was about to say there aren't just 6 women, but there are. But they give each person, that's the way Raw works. Raw works where there's 6 top guys and there's only 6 ladies. Everything and the only 6 ladies.
8.
Oh yeah, 8. Sorry, so
8.
sorry. But there's
9 if you want to count Summer Rae, 10 if you want to count Paige.
Okay, stop it. Anyway, but there's.
Should we count Maurice?
Maurice is on SmackDown. Oh wait, Maurice is. Sorry, I'm confused now. I was thinking of Lana, but which we'll get to in a second. But anyway, I'm just saying there's 3 times the male roster that there is the female roster is the point I'm trying to get to. There are 6 top guys who can work with, unfortunately, each of the other, each of each other, but they can also work with the other 2/3 of their roster. The ladies only have what they have, and they only have the segments, and they only have 2 to 3 segments. So it's got to focus on title match and a sub and some sort of sub title. That's not even, you know what I'm trying to say, some sort of mid to upper card or undercard or whatever, and then maybe just a talkie thing or something like that. So it's going to be it's not going to be the same as NXT, where half the show each week can focus on the women, because it's not the same. It's just not built the same.
I mean, not even formatting wise. They liked Bayley in NXT because she was one of the first women, pure. I won't say pure, but she was one of the first focused spotlight focused on her women's wrestler in the WWE universe. Even before the Paige era in NXT, they were really still wrestling women's matches like they were diva matches from back in the day or at that time period. And then like the Baileys and Sasha Banks and Charlotte's, I mean, they were all still there. Paige and Summer Rae, they were all there. But it migrated from doing a diva style to, hey, let's do a indie style. Let's do a wrestling style. And NXT even graduated from that, even on the men's side as well, when it first started to what it all of a sudden became, getting all that indie talent in there and having them mix in with the performance center guys and stuff like that. That's what people want on the main roster. That's what they liked about her there. When she came up here, it's like a reset switch. We're going back to goofy, corny Bayley, and we're going to have her lose here and there. I mean, they gave her the title, and I was even shocked they did that, because I thought for sure she was just going to be America's sweetheart underdog.
And had her retain it at WrestleMania, of all places, as well, by the way.
Yeah, so, I mean, they did that, and still, like, just internet wrestling community is going to be mad anytime she loses because, she's the person that should be carrying the torch. Well, I'm sorry, business doesn't work that way, and her carrying the torch is being the person chasing the title, because that's what people are more interested in when she finally wins. Sure. Will she win? Is she finally going to win? Finally going to win again, kind of thing, more than like, oh, she's 2.5 years champion.
Yeah, and I know a bunny trailed is hard, but I say I don't understand what people were expecting from that match. Just in and of itself, it's a blah 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 on a pole match. What do you think it's like? It's not built to be a good match in any way, form, or fashion. And yes, they always say that, like we said this last week. We said that they're going to advertise it as the first person to get to this thing gets to use it. But that's never how it works. I don't know why they say that. That's stupid, because that's not how the match works. It's whoever uses it. And if they find another one to use, they'll use it too. That's how it always works. It's never the person who gets it off the pole and uses it first gets to use it the rest of the match, and the other person and the competitor does not get to touch it. That's never how that type of match works, ever. So at least any that I've ever seen, it's been whoever controls it, and it's not a matter of the ref says, "Oh, well, you didn't touch it first, so you don't get to use it. Put it down." Okay, like that would work in a real fight anyway, right? So anyway, stupid, but it was a stupid match concept, and they did what they could do with it, and I thought they did fine. And I think Bailey took some pretty stiff shots with that thing. I would, like, they kept showing her back after that one shot she took. I wonder what it looked like after some of the. I feel like she took some harder shots, and I think she probably told Alexa, "Just lay it in, just make this."
They showed her back on Raw.
They did.
Yeah.
Where they showed it on Raw? You said
they had a picture of her on Raw.
I missed it.
With a bruised welt, in a cane shape.
I'll have to go back and look.
From like her shoulder blade to mid back.
Like multiples?
It was just one prominent one.
No, yeah, see, that was the original.
I saw in the picture.
That's what I'm saying. They showed that one. I'm talking about they didn't show anything again to, like.
Are you talking about during the pay-per-view?
No, I'm talking about after the pay-per-view. Oh, okay. There was nothing to show the multiple shots. And I feel like she probably had multiple contusions after that, in my opinion. But I don't know. That's just me guessing. But, so just call me Dave Meltzer, because I just, guess at stuff and people get mad at me.
So the one thing I was really disappointed with on Raw is, like, it never changes. It's always the same format, same thing, same deal. Sometimes the player changes, but the role never changes. Roman Reigns defeats Bray Wyatt, and then Bray Wyatt comes out and attacks Seth Rollins at the end of the night, because Bray Wyatt has this thing where he's going to take out every single person in that match for costing him the chance. So he loses the match and then moves on to the next guy and attacks him. Can you explain that logic to me? Like, how
I can't. There was the one strand of logic is that Seth made a point to completely call out Bray in the backstage promo that he did earlier in the show, where he called him a false prophet and martyr and stuff, like, would be martyr or something like that. And actually, I thought that promo was really good, and I'm like, foreshadowing. But
okay, well, you gave Seth a motive to attack Seth. But
Rollins. Why did he lose to Roman?
What's WWE's? Right. Yeah, what's WWE's logic for having him lose first?
Correct.
To their guy?
50-50.
And
because
it's 97-3 when it's Roman Reigns.
I know, but I don't want to get on that hate train. I'm saying that it's the 50-50 concept of, well, we made him look weak, but before the end of the show, we're going to make him look strong again. And it's just like, well, even though he didn't show up, they just blacked out the screen or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's just I never
saw it being mentioned as a 5-way elimination match, and I feel like last week we even scrutinized the website to see if they dropped that elimination word in there at any point, and I don't remember ever seeing elimination.
They kept saying fatal 5-way, I believe.
Yeah,
but that would have been cool. But they kept, maybe someone at one point had said that, but
the women's match was going to be a 5-person elimination match.
That was on SmackDown, right?
On SmackDown, yeah. But that was, I guess that was announced after. Well, no, I guess that was announced before the pay-per-view, and it transpired this week, or it happened last week. So it happened before the pay-per-view, yeah. So it was...
But that was SmackDown.
Yeah, so that was... Yeah. Right, but it's WWE TV, so maybe I heard that, because I thought also the Extreme Rules match was going to be a fatal 5-way elimination match, like Musi says. But,
okay.
But then we looked last week when we did the show, and I'm pretty sure.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I remember you. You were trying to figure that out, because we thought it and then we didn't. That's right.
Yeah, and
thought it, didn't find it.
Whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
But we still got, like you said before, I mean, WWE works in divisions now, and one division never crosses over to the other division. You have your tag, you have your undercard, you have your top of the card, and you have the women, and, obviously the women never mix. But,
and an entire show can have the same finishes for every match, because no one seems to talk to each other. Not that just happened, but it happened a couple of shows back where it's like every match somebody was like working the knee or something like that. Like every match.
There was a match. It might have been the Austin Aries Neville match where they were working the leg the whole time, and then doing like arm bars. Like I something weird like that. They were working one body part, and then next thing you know, they're putting submissions on the other body part. It was just you know how I hate that. They overcompensate for overplaying on the injury. And then next thing you know, the guy's using that injured leg to lay in these nasty kicks to the other person. Well, I mean, that's not all of a sudden we're not playing it up anymore until we get chop blocked. But I tell you, like a lot of Raw to me was very like forgettable. I do have one question for you because I did miss this, and anyone in chat can fill in the blanks as well if you missed it. So Big Cass got attacked now, and that's why Big Show was out there.
Yeah, and then Big Cass acted like all butthurt about it because, like claiming, oh, so Big Show, you were just looking to get into a tag match tonight, weren't you? Funny how Enzo's getting attacked, and then all of a sudden I'm getting attacked. Like this stupid, like paranoid logic. Like it's really poorly.
Right.
It's like really B-grade villain type stuff, and it just makes it makes me more confident that they're somehow going to make this Cass, not anybody else.
Well, I was going to say my question to you was going to be, so the only way that now it could be Cass that was attacking Enzo was that Cass made this up.
Sure. Yeah.
Because why would Cass get attacked if Cass was attacking Enzo? Unless it was Enzo that attacked Cass, and then you think they would know by now that each other.
And maybe they're just trying to make it ambiguous because once he got attacked, I'm like, well, maybe they're taking this a different way. But then his reaction to Big Show going out and helping Enzo, helping his buddy win, like his weird, like just passive aggressive reaction to that made me think, well, did he just set it up to look like he had been attacked just to see what would happen? And so now he's like this, B villain mastermind or whatever. I don't know. It was starting to draw me in, and it's kind of like the Bray Wyatt thing within that one show, like the two different, the juxtaposition of him being laid out to him being passive aggressive is just like, I mean, you're not making him into a hero, which maybe that's the point, but I don't know. It kind of halfway turned me off the story, I guess. Yeah, I hate that we're just complaining. I hope we can find something positive to talk about this week.
Well, you want something positive. You know what the best part of Extreme Rules was? Bailey dropping the Steve Blackman.
That was pretty good. She did.
That was I popped.
Yeah, I bet you did.
It came out of nowhere. Well, I wasn't even thinking it because she said Tommy Dreamer, Sandman,
Steve
Blackman. I'm like, this is great.
This is the best show ever.
This is the best pay-per-view ever. Great Balls of Fire is not going to compare. By the way, Great Balls of Fire. So did you hear what Lawler did an interview? Did you hear him explain about Jerry Lee Lewis and Jerry Lee Lewis's lawyer and stuff like that? So the story goes that Lawler and Jerry Lee Lewis share the same celebrity lawyer. So he calls Lawler. The Lawler lawyer thing is going to get confusing. He calls the king.
There you go.
And it says, hey, listen, by the way, how do we get in touch with legal over in WWE? He's like, well, because they're using Great Balls of Fire and Jerry Lee Lewis has a trademark on it. So that's now they're using the official theme song and the song from way back when as like kind of like a compromise working relationship kind of thing stemming from that. WWE just decided to name the pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire like it was this great original idea and never even got consent for it. Like, you talk about like Vince not getting it and stuff like that, and you can argue all you want about yes, he does, no, he doesn't, and whatever side of the fence you're on. But who's the moron that came up with the idea, hey, let's name it this song from the 50s or 60s, whenever it was from, and never even look into if it's being copyrighted or we have to do something with the original songwriter.
Yeah.
For like, was this an original idea? Someone tried to pawn off and nobody even questioned it? Or did they think this was going to be the coolest thing? Like, I still don't understand the point of this pay-per-view name.
Yeah, right.
When you have Great American Bash and Starrcade and Bad Blood, Armageddon. You have all these pay-per-view names that have been established over the years, just like sitting on the sidelines. Like you couldn't have brought any of them back. It's got to be like a new name and then a new name from a song from the 50s.
Yeah,
that all the kids are into right now.
All the kids. Yeah, and at a point where you're like, does WWE really identify with their fan base? This is where you're like, man, no, they don't. It's just like, what is this? Yeah, you're right. And insult to injury is the fact. And by the way, 1964 is when it was released. But I'm starting to, like, I was rehashing the lyrics in my mind, and then I pulled up the date on it, and I'm like, if they had planned this, they could have played into the lyrics of the song with different things going on, because you shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. That screams Bray Wyatt, right? But anyway, there's all these different lines that it talks about breaking your will and stuff like that. But anyway, it's just there's different things.
Guy, they did a commercial that looks like it's a freaking promo for Happy Days. And
I know. No, it's awful.
They're taking these big, bad, nasty wrestlers, and they're putting them in poodle skirts and whatever back at like Samoa Joe's diner, because that was actually a thing from the promo. They actually took Samoa Joe's name and put it on a diner and made this like a cool 60s thing.
And now his T-shirt and the way they're doing his intros and stuff. That's the font they're using for his name too. They're keeping that.
He's a monster, and then we're gonna make a pay-per-view where this monster is gonna collide with the Beast, and we're
Bob's Burgers.
We're gonna play the piano.
Bob's Burgers.
We're gonna play the piano. Yeah. I don't know. They should just named it One Direction. It would have gotten a better response, and I probably even had a better theme song. And I don't
maybe
more relatable.
Well,
I should
probably
say, to the kids of today's day and age. But,
it's weird. We got to find something positive though. Let's find something positive. What you got?
Well, I mean, let's do one more negative before we get to positive, because this one's bothering me.
Oh no.
So,
okay, well, I may have a spin on this, so go.
It has nothing to do with the picture.
Okay.
We'll lead up to that one, because that might be the positive. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we might file this one under hypocritical wrestling fan. What do you want out of life, kind of thing? But how could you go from, like, it just seems like it's one extreme to another. And you have Seth Rollins beating Samoa Joe all over the place. And then Samoa Joe wins the number one contendership, and Seth Rollins couldn't touch him. Samoa Joe now wins all of a sudden. Based on just being number one contender. Now he has Seth Rollins' number. But Rollins got him, bested him every single time before that. And then you have like Jinder Mahal is now the champion. So what's the first thing they do? They take the guy who was the only guy who beat him on SmackDown, and then they turned that right around, and they had Mojo Rawley lose to Jinder Mahal. And I'm not saying Mojo Rawley should have won, but more to my point is the same guys wrestle the same guys all the time. Wins, losses don't matter, because at a flip of a switch, we're just going to say, okay, well, now this guy's got this guy's number. Well, because, predetermined, scripted, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, but no story or character-driven purpose to that change. Yeah.
Right. Just one guy's now number one contender, so he went over. One guy's now champion, he went over. There was nothing. They didn't overcome odds. They didn't. I complain about that too. But just to throw all that stuff in, there was none of that. It's just hey, we're just gonna well, these guys have wrestled before. Let's just have them wrestle again on TV, and and just never establish anything really new. I guess Nakamura fought Owens. I guess that's new, right? Never done before, except those times in New Japan ROH crossovers where it was done. But I don't know. It just bothered me that this week they took the time to do it from, we're going to do this, and this is the way it's only, like, why have Rollins beat him twice just to have Samoa Joe be number one contender and do that. Having a little audio difficulty right now. So that's my gripe on it. But I will say, like, I really did, and Duke's going to want to talk about Lana and the women and stuff like that. But I'll just say I did like the AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler thing. Duke, you back?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm back. I don't know what happened. It just
Okay, cool.
it was weird. Maybe it was an internet thing because your stream paused for me and the audio went out too. So it may have just been my internet went wonky for a second. Sorry about that.
No, I'm going to check.
But I was hearing what
you
were saying. Like I unmuted the stream once it started playing again. So I
just kind of started mumbling and stuttering while I was trying to find a way to
filibuster.
Filibuster. My filibuster contains of lots of dead air and stuff like that. I was going to talk about two things that I kind of
a while back. So
I was going to say there were two things I did kind of like about wrestling this week, SmackDown in general. I really liked AJ Styles trading that win with Dolph Ziggler, and again, it seems like I bring this up every week now as like an argument or like an apology, but hypocritical stuff. We hate 50-50 booking. But I think when it's as good as Ziggler AJ Styles last week and then this week, where like the matches made sense, they hit their moves, that's why they won kind of thing. I think I'm okay with an AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, two people that can really wrestle and can really work, trading wins in a 50-50 style and making each other look good, and more Ziggler needing to look good than AJ Styles, than I can if it's, any other two wrestlers. Let's take Cesaro and Sheamus back when they did their best of 7 trading wins.
It's when it seems to matter. Like just putting the finest point on it possible that I can think of, like taking what you just said and distilling it down. It's when the match seems to matter and it seems like, okay, so these guys are kind of equals, and it really does come down to who hits that one move. Whether it's a finisher or whatever, or, it ends up being something dirty or whatever it ends up being, it comes down to that one pivotal moment, and that's what changes the outcome of the match. And so it's competitive, and it's like, competitive sports, boxing, MMA. It's, you keep seeing these guys come into the same match and you're not tired of it because you never know what the outcome's going to be, because on paper, this guy's strengths or one guy's strength is another guy's weakness and vice versa, So it sounds hypocritical, but when you see the whole picture, it's not really. I don't really think you are. I'm defending you here, Larry. You're welcome.
Well, the Money in the Bank match, they're still pairing everyone off like they always do anytime there's a match.
That. I'm like, so, this has got to be annoying, Larry, but these haven't been bad, and we'll get to another one in just a second that I want to highlight.
Yeah. We'll let you get to that one. We'll share this topic. And everyone in chat, please let there's quite a few of you there. Please let me know what you think about this. Lana's debut on SmackDown, hit or miss? And Duke, what do you say?
It seemed like a miss at first, but I don't know. It sort of fits Lana, right? She's sort of just a supplanter.
Yeah. Did it seem like, okay, this is not Lana's debut as a wrestler. This is more of like, what will we have Eva Marie do if she was still here when she came back?
Except Lana's just so over. I mean, she's like, it's we want Lana. Before it was we want Sasha, it was we want Lana. And after it was
the
we
opposite
want Sasha,
reaction.
It was we want Lana. Oh, I know. It's not what they want.
But it's
a reaction.
Right. Reaction aside, is what I'm saying is the actions that she did, the words that she spoke, kind of seemed like you could have put Eva Marie in that, and it was like, well, Eva Marie probably would have done that same thing. Walked out there, tripped Naomi and whatever. And it didn't seem like to me, it didn't feel like we have Lana, we have someone new, we have something the audience is clamoring for. She's been working hard in NXT, and from what I heard and I've seen, like, she's been doing really good down there, especially with fan reaction and all that. And now this is how we're going to debut her.
I get
It
you.
just didn't
Yeah,
seem to
don't. They weren't really debuting her as a wrestler. They were debuting her as the debutante or the ballroom dancer. Yeah.
Right. And like championship match aside, I mean, like, listen, she didn't have to come out there and they didn't have to reject her to her face and say, no, you don't get a championship match. And maybe this is going to turn into Lana versus Naomi SmackDown. Lana can defeat Naomi. She's in the Money in the Bank match. And, you know, heaven forbid a SmackDown champion could ever win after after having a title. You know what I mean? But Intercontinental Championship champion lost on that show for 9-10 months in a row. But, you know, it could be leading up to something for Money in the Bank for Lana. I just thought it was pretty flat the way it just came out there, and Shane McMahon was just like, no. Like, how did that make Lana look good? And what was the point of all the build-up?
Yeah, no, I get you. Well, there's the real question. There was all the build-up, and then it was essentially for her to walk. I mean, it was sort of like Shinsuke Nakamura if they had done all the vignettes, like if they had done all the vignettes for Shinsuke Nakamura like they did for Lana, and then all Shinsuke did was come down to the ring that time when he came down to the ring and interrupted The Miz, it'd be like, what?
That's it.
Just like you like we've seen his entrance in all the vignettes, and that's kind of what I get what you're saying now. Yeah, that you're right. That is sort of the definition of flat, where it's just like vignette. No actual debut. You just kind of walk down the ramp, which was sort of, you know, you were just at the top of the ramp in your vignette. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. I thought it was okay, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that she should have done something different. They should have had her dance. That she came out and decked Naomi. Just did she have to debut during that segment? Is all. Could have happened a different way.
Well, we're only 2 weeks out,
approached.
So I guess she did.
Yeah, I mean, if she's even involved in that match, I don't know. I don't know rumors or anything. Like
No,
that
they gave her a championship match.
Oh, that's right. She has a championship match. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and they've only got a week to build to it. So, or 2 weeks, I guess.
Is it at the pay-per-view or is that SmackDown? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
It was Naomi was pissed, so she's just like, you know what? Fine, I'll put my title on.
You know what?
line.
I might have missed that.
It was very short. It was a commercial bumper.
Yeah.
So.
I'm very loose with the remote control now during wrestling. I should say that
it's a weird time of year. It's a weird time of year. Summer is just like until we get to SummerSlam, the builds are weird and strange, and I guess a lot of people are on vacation, so maybe that plays into it. That WWE just sort of phones it in for a couple of months. I mean, this
plus MeTV is now showing Alf at
9:30. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's very well. They took off MacGyver to do it.
Oh,
but still,
yeah.
I mean, listen, I'll take Alf. Alf.
Okay.
Especially since I haven't seen it in a long time. Nakamura Owens. What are your impressions on that?
So here's my other positive. So I've seen people get real snarky about Nakamura. You know, just the way the way internet fans turn on everything, essentially. But they talked about Nakamura in NXT, how you can tell when he just doesn't really care because he just kind of goes by rote, which, you know, I'm sure that happens with a lot of wrestlers, but with him, it seems to some people, there's this appearance that he just phones it in a lot of times when it doesn't seem important to him. I'll tell you what, you put him in the ring with Kevin Owens and it looked like it mattered to him. He had a presence about him that I haven't seen since maybe the Sami Zayn match, honestly. I was impressed with their posture toward each other and how they, you know, they kind of just both did the same stuff that they do. It's, you know, and it's the typical sort of homogenized WWE version of them, but I feel like they have some chemistry from where they've done things before, and he had a posture and a presence about him that was really impressive to me. And then I loved the Baron Corbin, you know, insinuating himself into the whole scenario as well too. I really enjoyed the whole shindig. I liked it. And by the way, and Baron Corbin, by the way, on the mic was the most natural he's ever sounded ever. ever. Someone, and he was almost mimicking JBL, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing for a guy that looks like he does. Like it was working for me. It really was, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of like it, and I have to get over myself because I make a point, and like that's all I can see is that point, and this point being, can we just not have these guys wrestle each other every single week until we get to it? So we had a one-on-one match, and then the other guy.
When I saw this splash screen, I thought of you because I'm like, oh, like this whole show is gonna annoy the crap out of Larry.
Then the other guy comes in and just, God. I mean, you want to talk about buying into people, and there's a time in NXT where I'm like, could I see this guy on the main roster? No, Baron Corbin probably would have been one of them, and mostly because, hey, listen, they didn't really let him do a lot in NXT. So from a fan perspective, like, what has he done in the ring, wins, losses matter kind of thing. Like, I got kind of fooled, like, duped, kind of a mark in saying, oh, this guy's a loser. This guy's nothing. He doesn't do anything. He's not a big match guy kind of stuff. But it's just, you bring him into main roster. He's got a little bit of a different role. He can be a little bit more aggressive there towards bigger guys and mix in the entertainment. Like, he doesn't have to be a wrestler. Like, he can just be a menacing force before and after a match as well. Which makes him a better wrestler.
Right.
Because now it adds the danger factor to it. So it's kind of good. And he's one of those guys that I was like, this guy would never be good on the main roster. And then Mojo Rawley, I guess, like, people like him. I still don't. But he's not. I was dead wrong with Alexa Bliss. But, but he was one of those. But then I'm like,
But here we go. It's the same guys. They all have to have the different permutations of conflict.
Like, do we not do the 6-man tag match this week? Did we do it last week? Can we do, like, are we doing tag team next week? And then the other guys are going to be in the singles match? Like, what way are we going to get all these guys to be in the same match?
There's so many more people on the roster. There really are. There's lots more people on the roster. Why can't they fight people that don't get TV time? Why? Like, it's weird.
Then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, in the 80s, I watched all these TV shows where it was just star wrestler versus jobber. And you never got any good matches on TV, but you didn't care because, Hulk Hogan was on TV this week. Or you got to see, the British Bulldogs or, whatever. And they were always against Barry Horowitz and Iron Mike Sharp and all those guys, like the guys that never won. Then you got the WCW era of Nitro where every Monday night was a pay-per-view. But somehow they found a way to make every match, like, unique and interesting in the terms of, like, pairing wrestlers together that never really wrestled each other or have nothing to do with each other. And cruiserweights as well. They just kept mixing and matching, like, the Lucha Mexican guys and the Japanese guys and the American guys and Canadian guys. And it's like, well, now what we're just getting is we're getting this isolated bubble of 5 to 6 wrestlers, male or female, and it's just like all they're doing is wrestling each other. So we went from nobody wrestling nobodies, everybody wrestling nobodies every week, and then like during the heyday, like all big stars wrestling big stars for no real rhyme or reason. It's just like, one guy's ascending the card, the other guy is like descending the card kind of stuff, and yeah, wins, losses don't matter because next week the guy that lost is going to beat up on some other guy, but we didn't really care. Now it's, well, yeah, we're just going to take these 5 or 6 people and just kind of make them fight each other for the next 3 months and never move Group A against Group B at all. And we'll have a Group C in case we need one-off matches every once in a while. And the women are the same way. It's got to involve all of them at all times. Yeah, but yeah, Ty Dillinger, Aiden English, Kalisto and well, they're on
Raw now.
Raw. Sorry, they're Raw
They've
now.
actually had some feature to an extent.
Well, they're only wrestling each other for the last.
That's true. Yeah.
Even on they weren't wrestling each other on SmackDown, but they were only doing things with each other, stuff like that. And it's just it's tiresome. And you could find like the Colognes came in like a house of fire. And then now they're just like, well, New Day's back, and Colognes, you're back to being Primo and Epico, so just, fill the card. And, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like,
I don't know what I want, Duke. I think that's what it is.
Well, it is hard because we want new stars to be built, but I don't know. It seems like every time, I don't want to say this. I don't want to like put this out there, but I guess I'll make my point. It seems like something weird happens every time they really, really put a lot of steam behind someone. So it almost seems I can understand their hesitancy to really go all in on any particular person, which, the Roman,
and that's been a WWE thing for years.
Comes up, I get it, but you put all your steam behind Cena, and everything. He was the guy, and he stayed the guy, and he worked harder than anybody else in the business for the longest time. But it didn't necessarily help them from an overall business standpoint. It made them more, I guess, accessible and maybe more mainstream, like with he and The Rock and other guys. But it didn't necessarily help the company. The company hasn't really, maybe its reach has grown, but has its influence? No. I mean, we see that from their crappy ad pull and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just like there's this weird thing where they can get full steam ahead behind a guy, and he can be the guy and stay healthy and be everything they need him to be in and out of the ring, but it doesn't necessarily do good business for them. But then we want other new stars to be built, and it seems like they want to get behind someone, and there'll be an injury or some sort of life thing will happen or whatever, where that person isn't going to be the John Cena who's like WWE, live, breathe, and eat, or what they want Roman to be, live, breathe, and eat, that guy. And so I think it's easy to take a step back, look at the whole picture, look at the whole landscape, what we know of it, of course, and be like, I can understand why they're gun shy on some things, but at some point it just feels like something's got to give, and they got to really go for it with some people, and stop trying to keep everybody at the same level, and why don't we just have a few stars? And seriously, why don't we just have a few stars? So I think that's what we want, is we want someone to really love, and we want someone to really hate. And WWE has a habit of not giving us that option as of the past several years.
I think it really goes back to mid-'80s when WWE rarely ever gives anybody that chance and opportunity and puts their full trust in them as like a franchise person. And it takes a lot for that person. I mean, let's face facts, and Daniel Bryan became that person. But to your point, injuries and stuff, it's like, well, maybe we should never have done that because of that, regardless of fan interest and whatever.
They built a top guy, and he put himself out of a career.
Yeah, I think somebody did an interview. Maybe it was even an on TV kayfabe interview where they just said that injuries are going to happen. You just can't think about it. Oh no, Kenny Omega, I think, had that interview when talking about his next match with Okada for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he says that guys under. Well, no, because he hurt. Did he hurt Kushida? He hurt Ibushi. He hurt Ibushi in a match. And he was talking about that, and he said that we all know and we all take that risk every time we walk into the ring, that injuries can happen, but we can't put that on the back of our, in the back of our mind and stuff like that. And I think he was speaking more towards the not doing a safer style of wrestling, but doing a more, fan interesting, more interesting for the fan style of wrestling with psychology and build up and quote unquote strong style and stuff like that. And it made me think of that. It's like, well, it's like, okay, the wrestlers may not be concerned about injuries and stuff, but like The Office is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing
You
is
know?
that to a certain extent, the tail wags the dog in New Japan. Yes, there's the overall story, but what happens in the ring, and the amount of moves people do, and so on and so forth, and the danger level, it seems to be kind of on them. Like it doesn't seem like you don't hear a lot of stories of people telling them not to do things and stuff like that. So it gives it gives sort of a more old school approach of they're just going to go all out and make the main event be the main event, and sort of melding our 2 points, it creates stars because they're paying attention to what the fans want, and they're giving them more of it, or they're taking it away if that's their job to do. And so you have that more push-pull relationship between the performers and the audience, and the Office isn't trying to orchestrate as much. The Office is just creating the arc, but the arc, ARC, and then you have the in-ring performers who are creating the art, ART. So I think it's a different philosophy, and it may be why New Japan has. I don't know that they'll ever be WCW. They're gonna put it to WWE or whatever, but I don't know that they'll ever get to that point. But I think that's where people have fallen in love with them, especially in the Western world, because it kind of gives that, even with sort of the quote unquote high work rate or whatever, even with that, whether that's factored in or not, people doing a lot of moves, because not every New Japan match is super dangerous. I keep bunny trailing the bunny trail. I apologize. But people are seeing them connect more with the fans. People are seeing New Japan and Ring of Honor sort of as an offshoot of them more these days than their own thing. They're seeing them connect directly with the fan base, as opposed to the Office is sort of trying to orchestrate what's going on. And I think that's where the sort of, I don't know, maybe apathy toward the WWE product arises, especially this time of year. It's sort of like the lull before the SummerSlam build and the lull before the WrestleMania build, that people sort of kind of are like, what are they doing? What is there really to be excited about? The same stuff we complain about all the time. Everybody's just fighting the same people every week, and nobody's really pushing ahead in anything. And it's like there's these super long-term plans that change on a whim, and there's not really I don't know. I'm kind of lost in my own world now, because just where we are, I guess. But I think that's what people see in New Japan, to your point, is that there's this, we're going to go all out. The Office has told us what the purpose of what we're doing is, but we're going to make people feel it. Whereas everything's a little more micromanaged on the WWE side of things, where you don't have, maybe guys don't have that opportunity unless you have Cena and AJ in a big match on a pay-per-view. Guys that can sort of write their own rules, especially Cena. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's like WWE is almost actively trying not to build a lot of top guys, but because of that, there's no one in a position to sort of push back, it seems. And so you don't have people creating a bigger following for themselves and the company, because everything's just sort of micromanaged. That was a really long deal. Sorry, I apologize.
Gone are the days of somebody having a win streak and earning a chance based on that win streak, unless it's like an accelerated win streak, like this person hasn't lost in 3 days or whatever. Like, I'm not talking Goldberg stuff, but like everything in the past, undefeated debut, and then they get fed to somebody and lose right away. But I feel like it's been a long time since we've had that undefeated kind of thing and actually mean something, and not be like undefeated since their debut, and their debut was 3 months ago kind of thing. And not even like really referencing the fact they're undefeated. It's just that this guy always goes out there and always wins. Then one day, he'll approach the GM and then get his opportunity, and not just, well, okay, well, now this month it's this guy. This month it's this guy. This month we're going to revisit this guy. And it just seems like a lot of booking is done just based on names out of a hat situation. Then like, all right, let's actually make the roster have like a ranking kind of feel to it. And it really doesn't. But moving on, let me throw out a number there,
it's
Duke.
Syndrome. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Syndrome. I just want to throw that in real quick, because it's when everyone's a hero, no one is.
Let me throw out a number, and then you give me the best estimation of what that number represents. You ready?
Go.
5.
Big E.
Number of names Crazy Mary Dobson has had since she's debuted in WWE.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
So now we're going with Sarah Logan? Is this because we're going to do like a Wolverine thing?
She skins goats or something.
Yeah, we'll just, hey, listen, Logan was a popular movie, and he's a comic book guy, and we couldn't call her Great Balls of Fire or La Bamba, so we decided to call her a Sarah Logan, and now she's the female Wolverine. She's X-23, and she's skinning cats and whatever. But I thought actually she was going to pull out that win.
Yep.
And I was kind of like, all right, this is actually kind of cool, because now they're actually inserting another woman into the roster, and maybe they can kind of give up on Liv Morgan and Aaliyah, or at least not lean on them as much as they had.
I feel like Liv Morgan's out after what Becky Lynch did on SmackDown. She did the rolling. She did the ground roll.
Oh yeah.
Pin thing. That makes me think Liv maybe on the way out, because that's not See, like, I don't know if that's not like Becky to sort of steal from a younger talent like that.
Yeah, I don't. Wrestling moves are wrestling moves.
I get it,
nobody
but
owns
I've never seen anyone
ones.
do that besides her on WWE TV that I remember.
Hector Guerrero. I mean, I'm sorry, Chavo Classic.
Oh,
no, I think Hector Guerrero used to do that. Gobbledygooker used to do that.
Okay. Okay.
Look it up. I'm not lying. That's a real thing.
No, I want to see the actual Gobbledygooker do it, is the thing.
I think he did.
I don't believe you.
Okay. Well, I'll find the video for that. But, yeah, I was like, here's a nice entry point, especially with Daria, and I already forgot her new name, and then Lacey DeVille. I already messed up her name, too. Because they keep changing the names, and I have no idea what their names are anymore.
something, and now it's
Sonia Gray.
Sonia Deville.
Yeah, Sonia Deville. I think I quoted an adult female star, but I don't know who she was, honestly. Yeah, I kind of, I don't know. That's just a Freudian slip, I guess. But, and Daria, I forget what her real name is. Sonia Deville, right? She's Sonia Deville.
Oh, right.
And, yeah, she's Sonia. Because you know what? It's funny, because I saw an interview with Sonia Deville. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's going to talk about, and I thought it was the other one. And she wasn't the other one. She was Daria. So, like, how confusing is this? We have people make their debuts and change their name 13 times.
And they build a character under that name, and then they change their name randomly.
And then they, like, don't reference it anymore. It's like, let's just do this and stuff. So, I don't know. But I thought NXT was pretty exciting this week. And, again, it's one of those shows that it really didn't feature your main players. Bobby Roode came out and interrupted Roderick Strong, and I thought that segment was great because it puts Roderick Strong over as the everyday man.
Yeah, he is the new babyface, for real. Yeah.
And then we also had, Bobby Roode just being Bobby Roode, and I think Bobby Roode is reminding me a lot of Triple H.
And I'm pretty sure that's completely intentional.
And especially with that promo, and I'm like, man, damn, Bobby Roode's pretty good right now. We had Hideo Itami showing his mean streak.
Yeah.
Where he...
Pretty heelish, honestly.
So when does a match get called off because the other wrestler gets KO'd? And when does a referee tell another wrestler to stop doing moves?
Well, when is it not just called a KO? Like
when is it not called a KO? When is a referee
knockout? Like you
and
call it a knockout?
Why? And why is a referee allowed to stop a guy from doing his move 2 or 3 times? Isn't like the intent to do the move and win the match?
I thought it was an athletic competition. I've apparently, I don't know, something's going on. It's almost as though wrestling is not real.
I know, right? But I mean, even in Charles Robinson referenced this in his Chris Jericho thing, where he was just like, referees don't even know what the rules are anymore.
Yeah, they're always. It's just like this. 1 week it's like, you need to back them out of the corner, and the next week it's you need to let them play a little more, and so it's like they're constantly changing for us too. So.
Yeah, so we got the Roderick Strong thing. We got Sarah Logan, Mary Dobson, Logan Dobson interjected into the women, or at least the feelers out there with her. We got, Hideo Itami and Cassius Ohno doing their thing. Killian Dane looks like he's going to be a main player with the way they focus.
Yeah, that was cool.
And how about Lars Sullivan?
I'm really liking this guy. I'm liking this big monster who keeps teaming with tiny guys who think they're bigger than they are. And he just destroys them after the match. I love it. I
think it's great. Yeah, I really do. I love heavy machinery too.
Oh, I think they're great. They're much needed.
Yeah. So I mean, NXT and all the salt and vinegar with Raw and SmackDown, and not really salt with Extreme Rules, but just kind of like it was good. But we had bad expectations. Like, why do we have bad expectations? It's amazing that NXT every week could just be like, this show is just awesome. It's not even featuring the same matches or the same people every week, and it's like perfect.
Well, it's just they're using the indie model, or sort of the Ring of Honor model of, we don't have to have all our top stars on TV every single week. We need at least a thread of what's going on with our titles, but other than that, we don't have to have a non-title match between the guys who are going to fight for the title 3 times before they fight for the title. We don't need them constantly in each other's faces. We just need to thread it. We just need a slight thread. We don't need a constant reminder of it. And that makes a difference because you can highlight other talent.
I think the last time we really got that was pre-takeover days in NXT, where there'd be no main show. But before you got to that title match on NXT TV, or what it then was, because it was before the network, just the video, the web stream of the TV show, you got the lead up matches before that. So, it just hits. And next week we're gonna get Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross, and then we don't get Peyton Royce and Sarah Logan next week. So that's where it's awesome, because every other week, and again, they tape in the same day for 3 or 4 episodes, so you can't have people working every week. But I think that actually puts a little bit of charm into it and makes it interesting and refreshing if you can stay away from the taping spoilers to say, like, who's wrestling this week? Who are we going to see this week? Oh, who are we going to see next week? And when they say next week, Aleister Black, you're like, oh, awesome. Aleister Black's next week. But if it's Aleister Black every week, eventually we're going to be like, okay, again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
yeah,
I think that's where NXT does. I have some bad news for you, though, I believe.
Okay.
Ring of Honor has re-signed Dalton Castle.
Why is that bad news?
Because we won't see
in
him
NXT.
In NXT.
Well, we've got experience, bro. I don't think we need Dalton Castle. We've got the Patrick Clark, the Velveteen
why
Dream
can't they be
experience.
Why can't they be a tag team? But here's here's another Angry Larry rant is like, why does everyone say, like, everyone loves New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor, and then anytime there's a New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor dude, they're like, oh, I can't wait until he goes to NXT. It's like, well, if you love Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling so much, why do you want WWE to raid their
why do you want all the stars to
second
leave?
of the day?
People were like, oh, it's only a matter of time. It's just like, well, couldn't he like continue being a top guy there? I mean, it could end up being good for him. I know it's been good for the Young Bucks. So anyway,
Ring of Honor is so great. Mark my word, Jay Lethal will be in NXT by the end of the year. Well, I mean, if you're such a Jay Lethal Ring of Honor fan, why can't you just want Jay Lethal in Ring of Honor? Like, why are you moving him to a different company if you like both him and the company so much? By the way, I've been looking for more news about Mark Andrews suffering that injury overseas with the match against the Authors of Pain. They actually had to board him and collar him and take him out. And and also Ruby Riott suffered a huge 9 stitches, or I don't think it was staples. I think it was stitches, gash in her head, and they had to stop the match between her and Asuka as well.
Dang.
But don't worry, she's going to be fully healed for this Wednesday's episode of NXT. No scar and everything.
Okay, Larry, we get it. Pre-taping. I get it.
Actually, I'm not even that's not even my argument for that one, but I just felt like saying that. Like, I know I have the pre-taping arguments, but that's more for continuity of the tapings than it is for taping and going on the Ring of Honor having a pay-per-view, and then the next 3 episodes were taped
before the pay-per-view.
6 weeks before the pay-per-view. It's like, well, okay, that makes sense. But
and I do want to jump on the chat bandwagon here. I love the Drifter. I love the Drifter. I am a big fan. So
I do too. I do too. I kind of liked when they kept them in the background,
especially him just walking through the crowd.
They'd have a serious interview, and all of a sudden you just hear him start playing the guitar, and he was just right there. Like, I thought that was amazing. Now they graduated him to him being in the ring, and I'm like, all right, well, I still like him, but oh God, I miss Santino so much that I'm really, anytime something makes me laugh, I just want more of it. So leaving Samson in the back, just playing his guitar every once in a while when someone's crying at the GM or whatever, that was so good for me. Or just, I just love that.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, you ready for this?
Go.
Coco Beware, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, Junkyard Dog, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, The Rock, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Damien, and the Necro Butcher all were referenced in episodes of Psych.
That's fantastic. Oh, I remember some of the... I feel like Coco Beware came up more than once.
I'm looking at Coco Beware's quote, and it was from season 3.
Oh, it was just once?
An episode called Truer Lies. Sean stumbles upon a picture of Ryan and Coco Beware, a fan favorite in the WWE. So I don't know if they ever spoke Coco Beware or if he just ever showed a picture of them. But this doesn't have to be a complete listing of it. But there were references.
I'm so excited.
All over the place.
I'm so excited about the crossover.
It's a Christmas episode, right?
That's what you said. That's what you told me. I still haven't looked it up myself. So
I don't want to see
exactly. I kind of don't want to know what's happening. I just want to watch it. I just want to see it.
Psych Christmas episode coming soon to USA featuring Charlotte Flair.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. We've heard it both ways.